Here is a controversial truth that radio executives never wanted you to know. The greatest rock songs ever recorded were the ones they tried to silence. Songs so long and so fearless that program directors begged artists to cut them in half. But these musicians refused. They believed that some stories cannot be told in 3 minutes. And history proved them right. Today we celebrate 13 legendary tracks that broke every rule and defied every limit. These are the songs that refused to end, and we are still grateful they never did. We begin our journey with the longest composition on this list, a modern epic that pays tribute to everything that came before it. Released in 2009, The Whirlwind stretches across an astonishing 77 minutes. Yes, you heard that correctly. More than an hour of uninterrupted progressive rock, divided into 12 interconnected movements that flow like a symphonic novel. Transatlantic was never afraid to dream big. Formed by members of Dream Theater, Marillion, Spock's Beard, and the Flower Kings, this supergroup understood that their audience craved the ambition of the classic era. The Whirlwind delivered exactly that. From the opening notes to the final crescendo, every passage builds upon the last, creating a musical architecture that rewards patience and deep listening. Some critics called it excessive. The band called it necessary. And for fans who remembered the golden age of concept albums, it felt like coming home. In 1974, Yes released Relayer, an album that pushed their progressive sound into even more challenging territory. And at the heart of that record stood The Gates of Delirium, a 20-minute meditation on war, peace, and the fragile nature of human civilization. Inspired by Tolstoy's War and Peace, this composition moves through violent passages of instrumental chaos before arriving at one of the most beautiful moments in rock history. The closing section, known as Soon, washes over the listener like a prayer after battle. The contrast is stunning. From sonic warfare to gentle hope in the span of a single track. Yes had already proven themselves masters of the extended form, but The Gates of Delirium showed they could also move the soul while challenging the mind. It remains one of their most emotionally powerful achievements. The year was 1968. Psychedelia was in full bloom, and Iron Butterfly was about to accidentally create one of the most recognizable songs in rock history. In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, a title born from a slurred attempt to say "in the Garden of Eden," became a 17-minute journey into hypnotic grooves and extended improvisation. The album version features one of the most famous drum solos ever recorded. Ron Bushy's extended percussion break became a rite of passage for young drummers everywhere. Meanwhile, that opening riff, dark and swirling, has been sampled, referenced, and celebrated for over 5 decades. Radio stations initially refused to play it. Too long, they said. Too strange. But listeners demanded otherwise. The album sold over 30 million copies worldwide, proving that audiences were hungry for music that took its time. In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida taught the industry a valuable lesson. Never underestimate the appetite for something truly different. What happens when a band decides to parody the concept album format and accidentally creates one of the greatest concept albums ever made? You get Thick as a Brick, released in 1972. Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull crafted a single, continuous composition spanning the entire album, roughly 43 minutes of seamlessly connected musical passages. The original vinyl presented it as one song split across 2 sides, with no breaks, no separate tracks, just pure flowing artistry. The lyrics, supposedly written by a fictional 8-year-old poet named Gerald Bostock, satirized everything from religion to politics to the pretensions of progressive rock itself. But the satire was delivered with such genuine musical brilliance that the joke became something far more profound. Thick as a Brick transcended its own irony to become a landmark of the genre it mocked. Do you remember the first time you flipped that record to side 2? Eager to hear where the journey would lead?
Gotta have a real need.
On the 1977 album Animals, Pink Floyd delivered their most biting social commentary. And at the center of that album lurked Dogs, a 17-minute examination of corporate ruthlessness and moral decay. Roger Waters wrote about the dog-eat-dog world of business, where ambition devours conscience and success demands the sacrifice of everything good. The lyrics paint a portrait of a man who climbs the ladder only to find emptiness at the top. Meanwhile, David Gilmour's guitar work provides some of the most haunting textures of his career. Those long, sustained notes seem to weep with the weight of the message. Dogs is not an easy listen, it was never meant to be. But its power lies in its unflinching honesty. Decades later, in a world still dominated by the same corporate machinery, the song feels more relevant than ever. In 1972, Genesis released Foxtrot, and with it came Supper's Ready, a 23-minute epic that remains the definitive statement of Peter Gabriel-era Genesis. Divided into 7 distinct sections, the song moves through pastoral beauty, theatrical drama, apocalyptic imagery, and ultimately, spiritual transcendence. Gabriel's lyrics draw from biblical symbolism, personal mythology, and pure surrealism to create a narrative that defies simple explanation. And that is precisely the point. Supper's Ready is meant to be experienced rather than analyzed. The climax, with Gabriel declaring that the guaranteed eternal sanctuary is one of the most triumphant moments in progressive rock history. It is a resolution earned through 20 minutes of journey, and when it arrives, the release is overwhelming. For many fans, Supper's Ready represents everything they love about this era. The ambition, the imagination, the willingness to take listeners somewhere they had never been before. When Rush released 2112 in 1976, the band was fighting for survival. Their previous album had underperformed, and the record label wanted something more commercial. Instead, Rush delivered a 20-minute science fiction suite about an individual fighting against a totalitarian society, divided into 7 interconnected parts. The composition tells the story of a man who discovers a guitar in a world where music has been banned. His attempt to share this beautiful instrument with the ruling priests leads to tragic consequences. It is a story about the power of art. The danger of conformity, and the eternal human need for self-expression. Neil Peart's lyrics combined with the band's increasingly sophisticated musicianship created something timeless. 2112 saved Rush from obscurity and launched them into the upper tier of rock legends. It remains a fan favorite at live shows to this day, with audiences singing every word of the Temples of Syrinx section. What was it about this song that first captured your imagination? 1972 was a remarkable year for progressive rock, and Yes contributed one of its defining masterpieces. Close to the Edge, the title track from the album of the same name, runs approximately 18 minutes and represents the absolute peak of the band's creative powers. The song moves through 4 distinct movements, each flowing into the next with the precision of classical composition and the energy of rock and roll. John Anderson's lyrics, inspired by Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, explore themes of spiritual awakening and the search for truth. Meanwhile, Steve Howe's guitar, Rick Wakeman's keyboards, and Chris Squire's bass weave together in patterns of stunning complexity. There is a moment near the middle of the piece, as the chaos resolves into the gentle passage known as I Get Up, I Get Down, where time seems to stop. It is music that transcends its era, speaking to something universal about the human journey toward understanding. Close to the Edge demanded everything from its listeners, and those who gave themselves to it were rewarded beyond measure. Before the Dark Side of the Moon, before Wish You Were Here, there was Echoes. Released on the 1971 album Metal, This 23-minute composition pointed the way toward everything Pink Floyd would become. The song begins with a single, pinging note, like sonar searching the depths of the ocean. From there, it builds gradually, layer upon layer, into passages of breathtaking beauty and unsettling experimentation. The middle section descends into abstract noise and wail-like sounds before emerging again into melodic resolution. Roger Waters and David Gilmour share vocal duties on lyrics that speak to connection, distance, and the mysterious bond between souls across time and space. The music itself seems to exist outside normal temporal boundaries. 23 minutes pass, and somehow it feels both endless and instantaneous. Echoes proved that Pink Floyd could sustain a single musical idea across an entire album side without ever losing the listener's attention. It was a template they would perfect on later albums, but the magic was already fully present here.
This is the end. Beautiful.
In 1967, The Doors released their self-titled debut album, and with it came The End, 11 minutes of Oedipal poetry, Eastern-influenced music, and the unmistakable voice of Jim Morrison descending into darkness. Originally conceived as a simple breakup song, The End evolved through live performances into something far more disturbing and profound. Morrison's spoken-word passages, delivered in a trance-like state, pushed boundaries that most rock bands would not approach for decades. The famous Killer section shocked audiences and got the band banned from certain venues. But beyond the controversy, The End showcased The Doors at their most musically adventurous. Ray Manzarek's keyboards created an atmosphere of dread and beauty in equal measure. Robbie Krieger's guitar lines spiraled into exotic territories, and John Densmore's drums built tension that seemed ready to explode at any moment. The End was not just a song. It was a confrontation with the unconscious mind, and listeners have been grappling with its meaning ever since. Wish You Were Here, released in 1975, was Pink Floyd's tribute to their fallen friend Syd Barrett. And the centerpiece of that tribute was Shine On You Crazy Diamond, split into 9 parts spanning over 26 minutes across the album. The opening notes, 4 sustained tones on David Gilmour's guitar, are among the most recognizable in rock history. They seem to hang in the air like memories refusing to fade. From there, the composition unfolds with heartbreaking beauty, celebrating the brilliant spirit that Barrett once possessed while mourning the tragedy of his mental decline. The lyrics directly address Barrett, remembering him as a painter, a piper, and a legend who shone like the sun but threatened by shadows. There is love in every line, mixed with sorrow that cuts to the bone. In a stunning coincidence, Barrett himself appeared at the studio during the recording sessions, unrecognizable to his former bandmates at first. The encounter added another layer of poignancy to an already deeply emotional project. Shine On You Crazy Diamond is more than music. It is a memorial, a love letter, and a cautionary tale woven into sound. If there is one song that defines Southern rock, one anthem that every guitarist dreams of playing, it is Freebird. Released on the band's 1973 debut album, this 9+ minute epic became so legendary that audiences still shout its name at concerts of completely unrelated bands. The song begins as a gentle ballad, with lead vocalist Ronnie Van Zant singing about a rambling soul who cannot be tied down. The lyrics speak to freedom, restlessness, and the honest acknowledgement that some hearts are not meant to settle. It is deeply American in its mythology, channeling the spirit of the open road. And then, around the 4-minute mark, everything changes. The tempo accelerates, the guitars multiply, and the song transforms into one of the greatest extended jams in rock history. Alan Collins and Gary Rossington trade solos that seem to stretch toward infinity, each passage building on the last until the climax feels almost overwhelming. Freebird is proof that sometimes the most powerful statements take time. Those final minutes are earned through patience, and when they arrive, they feel like liberation itself. Do you remember where you were the first time that guitar solo lifted you off the ground? We arrive now at the summit. The most debated, most celebrated, most analyzed rock song ever recorded. Stairway to Heaven. Released on the 1971 album commonly known as Led Zeppelin 4, runs approximately 8 minutes. It is the shortest song on our list, yet its impact towers above them all. The song begins with an acoustic guitar figure so delicate it seems made of crystal. Robert Plant's opening lyrics, about a lady who is sure all that glitters is gold, invite interpretation on multiple levels. Is it a critique of materialism? A spiritual allegory? A fairy tale for adults? 50 years of analysis has produced no definitive answer, and perhaps that is precisely the point. As the song progresses, layers are added with surgical precision. Recorders give way to electric guitar. John Bonham's drums enter like a force of nature. The tempo builds. The intensity grows. And then, finally, Jimmy Page unleashes one of the most iconic guitar solos in history. That solo has been studied, imitated, and debated by millions of guitarists worldwide. Every note seems inevitable, yet the whole thing feels spontaneous. It is the sound of transcendence, the moment when technique disappears and pure emotion takes over. Stairway to Heaven was never released as a single, yet it became the most requested song on American radio for years. It defined album-oriented rock. It proved that popular music could be artistically ambitious without sacrificing emotional accessibility. Some critics have called it overplayed. Some have tried to knock it from its pedestal. But generation after generation discovers Stairway to Heaven and falls under its spell. That is the mark of true greatness. It speaks to something eternal in the human heart. Led Zeppelin took 8 minutes to change music forever, and we are still listening. These 13 songs taught us something important. They taught us that art should never be rushed, that the greatest stories need room to breathe. Every track on this list dared to be different, and every one of them earned its place in history. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these epic songs changed your life? Which one still gives you chills when that final note fades? Drop your answer in the comments below, and let us celebrate these timeless masterpieces together.